The Saturday morning sun filtered through Mom's kitchen windows as I sat at the breakfast table, watching my older sister Jennifer parade around with her phone, showing everyone screenshots of wire transfer confirmations. Her fiancé Brad sat beside her, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. $2.8 million, Jennifer announced for the third time in 10 minutes. The buyers didn't even negotiate. Cash sale, closed in 12 days. Mom clapped her hands together. Oh honey, that's wonderful. You can have the wedding you've always dreamed of. I took another bite of my scrambled eggs, saying nothing. The beach house had been in our family for 30 years. Dad bought it in 1994, back when coastal property in Orange County was still somewhat affordable. He'd spent every weekend there, teaching us to surf, building bonfires, hosting family gatherings. When he died 3 years ago, he'd made very specific arrangements about that property. The venue deposit alone was $50,000, Jennifer continued, scrolling through her phone. But it's worth it. The Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel, 300 guests, oceanfront ceremony, reception in the ballroom. Brad's parents are flying in from Connecticut. Brad nodded enthusiastically. We're doing the rehearsal dinner at Mestro's, top shelf open bar, surf and turf for everyone. How much is this wedding costing? Uncle Robert asked, helping himself to more coffee. About $400,000 total, Jennifer said casually, as if she were discussing grocery shopping. But we're only paying $250 out of pocket. Brad's parents are covering the rest. I set down my fork carefully. That's quite an expense. Jennifer barely glanced at me. Well, some of us know how to make smart financial decisions, Emma. That beach house was just sitting there, collecting dust. Dad would have wanted me to use it for something meaningful. Did he tell you that? I asked quietly. Oh, don't start, Jennifer snapped. You've been living in that tiny apartment in Long Beach for 5 years, working at that bookstore, acting like you're too good for family money. Meanwhile, I've been building a real career in pharmaceutical sales. I know how to handle assets. Mom touched Jennifer's arm. Girls, please. This is supposed to be a happy time. I stood up, carrying my plate to the sink. I'm going to take a walk. Always so dramatic, Jennifer muttered to Brad, loud enough for me to hear. I grabbed my jacket and headed outside, pulling out my phone as I walked down the quiet suburban street. 3 missed calls from a 949 area code, Orange County. I'd silenced my phone during breakfast, not wanting to be rude at Mom's table. The voicemail was from someone named Patricia Morrison at First American Title Company. Miss Emma Carter, this is Patricia Morrison calling from First American Title. We're processing a property transfer for 2847 Pacific Coast Highway, and we've encountered some discrepancies in the ownership documentation. Could you please call me back at your earliest convenience? This is rather urgent. The closing is scheduled for Monday, and we need to verify some information before we can proceed. I stopped walking. Monday was 2 days away. I called Patricia back immediately. She answered on the second ring. First American Title. This is Patricia. Hi, this is Emma Carter. You called me about a property on Pacific Coast Highway. Oh, Miss Carter, thank you for calling back so quickly. Patricia's voice carried a note of relief mixed with concern. We've been trying to reach you all week. We're handling the closing for 2847 PCH, and when we ran the title search, we discovered some complications. What kind of complications? Well, the seller, a Jennifer Carter, provided us with what appeared to be a standard grant deed, showing her as the sole owner. However, our title search revealed that the property is actually held in an irrevocable trust. The beneficiary listed on the trust documents is you, Emma Carter, not Jennifer Carter. I leaned against a nearby fence, processing this information. The trust is correct. My father established it before he died. I see. Then I'm afraid we have a significant problem. Jennifer Carter has been representing herself as the property owner throughout this entire transaction. She's signed the purchase agreement, accepted the earnest money deposit, and was scheduled to appear at closing on Monday to complete the sale. The buyers have already wired $2.8 million into escrow. Can you stop the sale? We've already placed a hold on the closing pending verification of ownership. But Miss Carter, I need to be frank with you. This appears to be an attempt to fraudulently convey property. Jennifer has provided forged documentation, claiming she inherited the property outright. Our legal department is reviewing the matter now. My hands were shaking. What happens next? I need you to come to our office in Newport Beach Monday morning at 9. Bring identification and any trust documents you have. We'll need to meet with Jennifer as well, though she doesn't know yet that there's a problem. The buyer's attorney will also be present. along with our legal counsel. I'll be there. One more thing, Miss Carter. Don't confront Jennifer about this until after the meeting. Let our attorneys handle it. These situations can escalate quickly, and we want to resolve this properly. I spent the rest of Saturday in my apartment, reviewing the trust documents my father's attorney had given me 3 years ago. Dad had been meticulous about estate planning. After Mom's diabetes diagnosis and his own heart problems, he'd worked with a trust attorney to ensure everything was protected and clearly designated. The beach house went into an irrevocable trust with me as the sole beneficiary. Jennifer received Dad's investment portfolio, worth about the same amount. Dad had been fair. He'd given us each assets of roughly equal value. But he'd known Jennifer's spending habits, her tendency to make impulsive decisions. He'd wanted to ensure the beach house stayed in the family, preserved as a legacy. The trust documents were crystal clear. I was the only person with authority to sell, mortgage, or transfer the property. Jennifer had no legal claim whatsoever. Sunday passed slowly. I didn't go to Mom's house for the usual family dinner. I texted that I wasn't feeling well, which wasn't entirely a lie. My stomach had been in knots since Patricia's call. Jennifer texted me that evening. Mom says you're sick. Hope it's nothing serious. Brad and I are meeting with the wedding planner tomorrow to finalize the seating chart. Can't believe it's only 4 months away. I stared at that message for a long time before responding. Hope the planning goes well. Monday morning, I arrived at First American Title's office in Newport Beach at 8:45. The building was modern glass and steel, overlooking the harbor. Patricia Morrison met me in the lobby, a woman in her 50s with silver hair and a professional demeanor that radiated both competence and concern. Miss Carter, thank you for coming. Let's go to the conference room. The others aren't here yet. She led me to a large room with a polished table and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. A man in his 40s was already there, reviewing documents. This is James Weinstein, our senior legal counsel, Patricia said. James stood and shook my hand firmly. Miss Carter, I've reviewed your trust documents. Everything appears to be in perfect order. Your father's attorney did excellent work. What's going to happen? I asked. We've informed Jennifer that there are issues with the title that need to be resolved before closing. She believes it's a routine matter, some paperwork discrepancy. She doesn't yet know that we've discovered her fraud. Is it definitely fraud? James's expression was grave. Without question, she submitted a forged grant deed, claiming your father left the property to her directly. She also provided a fake death certificate amendment, suggesting changes to his will. Our forensics team examined the documents over the weekend. The notary seal is counterfeit, the signatures don't match, and the filing dates are impossible. 2 of the documents are supposedly dated before your father's actual date of death. The door opened. Jennifer walked in, dressed in designer clothes, carrying a leather portfolio. Brad was with her. She stopped when she saw me. Emma, what are you doing here? Please have a seat, Patricia said calmly. We have some matters to discuss. Jennifer's confidence faltered slightly, but she sat down, placing her portfolio on the table. I thought this was just about some paperwork issues. The door opened again. A man and woman entered, both in expensive suits. This is David and Margaret Thornton, Patricia said, the buyers of the property, and their attorney Susan Chen from Morrison and Associates. The Thorntons looked confused and worried. They sat down across from Jennifer. Patricia folded her hands on the table. Let's begin. Jennifer, you've been attempting to sell property, located at 2847 Pacific Coast Highway. However, our title search has revealed that you are not the legal owner of this property. Jennifer's face went pale. That's impossible. My father left that house to me. Actually, he didn't, James said, sliding documents across the table. Your father placed the property in an irrevocable trust 3 years ago. Emma is the sole beneficiary, and the only person with authority to transfer or sell the property. Jennifer snatched up the papers, scanning them frantically. This is wrong. Dad told me. What did Dad tell you? I asked quietly. She looked at me, eyes wide. He said he was leaving us both property. I got the investment accounts. You got the beach house. But I assumed we could work something out. The house was just sitting there, and you needed money for your wedding. I finished. So you forged documents claiming the property was yours. I didn't forge anything. Jennifer's voice rose. I found those papers in Dad's files. They showed nothing of the sort. James interrupted firmly. Miss Carter, we've examined every document you submitted. They're all forgeries. The notary seal doesn't match any registered notary in California. The signature you claim is your father's doesn't match his signature on any legal document, and perhaps most damning, two of your documents are dated March 2023, but your father died in February 2023. The conference room fell silent. Margaret Thornton spoke for the first time, her voice tight with anger. Are you telling us that we've been negotiating to buy a house from someone who doesn't own it? I'm afraid so, Susan Chen said. Miss Thornton, Mr. Thornton, I'll need to review your options with you privately, but First American has placed a hold on the closing. Your earnest money deposit is safe in escrow, and we'll work on getting it returned to you immediately. We sold our house in San Diego, David Thornton said, his voice rising. We close on that sale next week. Our daughter is enrolled in a school here. We've been planning this move for 6 months based on this transaction. Patricia raised her hands. Mr. Thornton, I understand your frustration, but the sale cannot proceed. The seller doesn't have legal authority to convey the property. Jennifer was shaking now, tears streaming down her face. Brad, say something. Tell them I didn't know. Tell them. Brad stood up, his face red. Are you kidding me right now? You told me the house was yours. You showed me papers. You said your father left it to you directly. He did. I mean, I thought. You thought what? That you could just steal your sister's property. Brad grabbed his jacket. I can't believe this. My parents wired $150,000 for this wedding. They're flying in family from Connecticut, from Colorado. We sent out 300 invitations. Brad, please no, no way. I'm not marrying a thief. He walked toward the door, then stopped and looked at Jennifer one more time. We're done. He left. The door closed with a definitive click. Jennifer dissolved into sobs. Emma, please, I didn't mean for this to happen. I just needed the money. The wedding costs spiraled, and Brad's parents were paying for so much, and I couldn't let them down. And I thought maybe you wouldn't care about the house since you never use it. You thought I wouldn't care, I repeated, my voice steady, despite the anger building inside me. So you decided to commit fraud. James looked at Jennifer seriously. Miss Carter, Jennifer, I need to inform you that First American is required to report this matter to law enforcement. You've attempted to fraudulently convey real property worth nearly $3 million. That's a felony in California. Grand theft, forgery, possibly wire fraud given the interstate nature of the buyer's funds. Jennifer's sobs turned to gasps. No, please, I can fix this. I'll cancel the wedding. I'll pay everything back. With what money? I asked. You've already spent it, haven't you? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Susan Chen stood. Mr. and Mrs. Thornton, let's step out and discuss your position. Patricia, James, I'll be in touch about the escrow release. The Thorntons left with their attorney, both of them shooting disgusted looks at Jennifer as they passed. Patricia addressed Jennifer directly. You have two choices. You can cooperate fully with our investigation, provide details about how you created the fraudulent documents, and work with law enforcement, or you can refuse, in which case First American will pursue this matter aggressively. Either way, this information is being reported to the district attorney's office today. I want to call my lawyer, Jennifer whispered. That's a wise decision, James said, but before you do, I want you to understand something. You've defrauded multiple parties, your sister, the buyers, this title company, and potentially others, if you've borrowed money against the property or used it as collateral. This isn't going away. Jennifer looked at me, mascara running down her face. Emma, you're my sister. Please, tell them you won't press charges. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. I thought about Dad, about the weekends at the beach house, teaching me to body surf in the waves, about the trust documents he'd carefully prepared, knowing exactly what he was doing, protecting the property he loved, about the lessons he'd tried to teach us both about integrity and responsibility. No, I said quietly, I won't tell them that. What you did was wrong, and it wasn't a misunderstanding. You knew exactly what you were doing. Patricia handed Jennifer a card. This has the contact information for our legal department. You'll need to coordinate with them regarding the investigation. You should also know that the buyers may choose to file a civil suit against you for damages. They've incurred significant expenses based on your fraudulent representations. Jennifer took the card with shaking hands. She looked at me one more time, searching for sympathy, for forgiveness, for something that would make this easier. I looked back at her steadily. You should go. She gathered her things and left, her shoulders shaking with sobs. When she was gone, James turned to me. Emma, I know this is difficult, but you should also consider filing a civil claim against Jennifer. If she's forged documents and attempted to sell your property, she may have done other things, borrowed against it, used it as collateral for loans. We'll need to run a complete title search to ensure there are no other encumbrances. Do whatever you need to do, I said. Patricia's expression softened. For what it's worth, your father made the right choice putting that property in trust. He clearly understood the situation better than anyone. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Over the next 2 weeks, the full scope of Jennifer's fraud unraveled. She hadn't just tried to sell the beach house. She'd taken out a home equity line of credit against it 6 months earlier, forging my signature and providing fake trust documents to the lender. She'd borrowed $400,000, which she'd spent on wedding deposits, a new car, designer clothes, and jewelry. The bank immediately filed criminal charges. The district attorney's office opened an investigation. The Thorntons filed a civil lawsuit seeking damages for their expenses and emotional distress. Brad's parents canceled all the wedding arrangements they'd paid for and demanded their deposits back, which were non-refundable. They were considering their own lawsuit. Mom called me crying 2 days after the title company meeting. Emma, I had no idea. Jennifer told me Dad left her the beach house. I believed her. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, Mom. She's my daughter. How did I raise someone who would do something like this? You raised 2 daughters, I reminded her gently. One of us made bad choices. That's not on you. Mom was quiet for a long moment. Your father knew. He knew Jennifer had problems with money, with impulse control. That's why he set things up the way he did. I thought he was being unfair at the time, but he was protecting you both, protecting Jennifer from herself and protecting you from her. 3 weeks after the title company meeting, Jennifer was formally charged with multiple felonies: grand theft, forgery, filing false documents, and fraud. Her attorney negotiated a plea deal. She'd plead guilty to reduce charges in exchange for testimony about how she'd created the fake documents and a commitment to repay what she'd stolen. The sentencing hearing was set for 2 months later. I went to the beach house for the first time since Dad died. I'd avoided it, unable to face the memories without him there. But standing on the deck, watching the sunset paint the ocean in shades of orange and gold, I understood why he'd fought so hard to protect this place. My phone rang. Mom. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. How are you? I'm at the beach house. Oh, Mom's voice wavered. How does it feel? Peaceful, I said honestly. Sad, but peaceful. Jennifer's sentencing is next week. I know. Her attorney says she'll probably get 3 years in state prison, with potential early release after 18 months if she behaves. I watched a pelican dive into the waves. That seems fair. Emma, Mom hesitated. She's still your sister. I know what she did was wrong, but someday, maybe you could. Maybe someday. I interrupted gently. But not now, Mom. Not yet. I understand. After we hung up, I walked down to the beach. The sand was cool under my feet. The late September air, carrying a hint of autumn. A family was packing up their beach gear nearby. Parents, 2 kids, a golden retriever. They looked happy, uncomplicated. My phone buzzed with a text from Patricia Morrison. Emma, the HELOC lender has agreed to settle. They'll absorb the loss and release the lien on the property. Your title is now completely clear. The Thorntons' case settled too. Jennifer's homeowner's insurance is covering their damages. You're in the clear. I texted back. Thank you for everything. One more thing, the Thorntons are still interested in buying the property if you ever want to sell. They fell in love with the location and the house itself. No pressure, just wanted you to know. I looked up at the beach house, at the deck where Dad used to grill, at the windows of the bedroom where I'd spent so many summer nights listening to the waves. Not ready to sell yet, I typed. Maybe someday, but I need some time here first. Completely understandable. Take care, Emma. I sat on the sand as the sun dipped below the horizon. Tomorrow I'd have to drive back to Long Beach, back to my apartment and my job at the bookstore. But tonight, I was here, in the place Dad had loved, in the place he'd worked so hard to protect. The waves rolled in, constant and eternal, the same waves that had been here when Dad bought this house 30 years ago, the same waves that would be here long after all of us were gone. I pulled out my phone and opened the Photos app, scrolling back to pictures from years ago. Dad on the deck, spatula in hand, grinning at the camera. Jennifer and me as teenagers, sunburned and laughing, holding boogie boards. Mom reading a book in a beach chair, her feet buried in sand. Those memories were real, even if the sister I thought I knew had turned out to be someone else entirely. I stayed until the stars came out, until the beach emptied, and the only sound was the ocean meeting the shore. Then I walked back up to the house, locked the door, and drove home through the darkness. 3 months later, I got a letter from Jennifer. It was postmarked from the California Institution for Women in Corona. Her handwriting was shaky, uncertain. "Dear Emma," it began. "My therapist says I should write this, even though you probably won't read it. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I've spent 3 months here thinking about what I did, about why I did it, about how I convinced myself it was okay. The truth is, I was jealous. I've always been jealous of you. You were Dad's favorite, not because he loved you more, but because you were like him. Calm, thoughtful, careful. I was the impulsive one, the one who made him worry. When he put the beach house in trust for you, it confirmed what I'd always believed, that he didn't trust me, that he thought I was irresponsible. So I tried to prove him wrong by being successful, by having the perfect life, the perfect wedding, the perfect everything. But all I proved was that he was right not to trust me. I'm sorry, Emma. I know that's not enough. I know I destroyed our relationship and hurt so many people, but I needed to say it anyway. I hope someday you can think of me without hating me. Love, Jennifer." I folded the letter carefully and put it in a drawer. I didn't hate Jennifer. Hatred required energy, required ongoing engagement with the betrayal. What I felt was something quieter, a kind of sad acceptance that the sister I'd grown up with had made choices that changed everything irreversibly. Maybe someday I'd write back. Maybe someday we'd find a way to be in the same room, without the weight of what she'd done crushing everything else. But that day wasn't today, and maybe it wouldn't be tomorrow either. For now, I had the beach house, the waves, the sunset, and the knowledge that Dad had understood us both better than we'd understood ourselves. He'd protected what needed protecting, and in doing so, he'd given me something more valuable than property. He'd given me proof that some things, some places, some legacies, are worth safeguarding at all costs. The beach house would stay in the family, not because Jennifer had failed to steal it, but because Dad had made sure, 3 years ago, on a Tuesday afternoon in an attorney's office, that it would be protected long after he was gone. That was the real inheritance, not the property itself, but the lesson in foresight, in understanding people you love enough to protect them from themselves, in building legacies that last. I went back to the beach house every weekend after that, slowly making it my own, while honoring the memories it held. And every time I sat on that deck, watching the sunset, I thought about Dad and his careful planning, about trust documents and title companies, about the difference between what we deserve and what we're given, and about how sometimes, the people who love us best, are the ones who see us most clearly, flaws and all.